Okay. Yeah, I see a few people. That's good. So I'm just going to do a few checks right quick because I think there's a delay on the live stream. So can you hear me? Are you able to hear me? Alright, so I'm going to type something on the screen. Let me know if there's a delay. Alright, can you see that? I just typed on the third line. So there's about a 15-second delay from when I actually say or do something and then you actually seeing and hearing what I'm doing. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So yes, my name is John. So you can refer to me as that on YouTube or Willem. I'll respond to either or. Now, I'm sorry if you can hear me breathing. This is a very cheap microphone, and let's just face it, we're on a budget as far as doing this Roblox Lua scripting basics for dummies. We're on a very tight budget. So this microphone is a piece of shit. We're using OBS Studio for the live stream. It was free. And we're using YouTube, which is also free. So let's go ahead and get started with some scripting basics. If you want to follow along, that's great. I encourage you to open up Studio, go to Workspace, right click Workspace, click Insert Object, and then click on Script. It's in alphabetical order, so it's here near the bottom, so click on Script. That'll immediately put one in Workspace, and it'll open it up. It should say Print Hello World on it. You can go ahead and delete that, just have a blank script. And then go to View at the top. This is critical. So on the top of your screen, click View, and then click Output. It'll open a little menu here on the bottom like a white screen. You'll probably see some blue and red text in there. None of that is important right now, but if you want to, you can right click that and click Clear Output. But yeah, that's what we need to do this. You don't need any parts or anything in Workspace. You just need your empty script and your output menu, and you're good to go. So if you closed your script, go ahead and double click on it again so it reopens it, and just go ahead and clear whatever's up there. I've got this text in green, but that's not going to affect anything. So let's go ahead and get started. So first we need to go over some basics before we just jump right in and start creating GUIs and making atomic bombs and all this other crap. We need to learn the very basics of scripting, and this is pretty universal for other languages. Like I know some of you may have taken a Java class in high school or grade school, and some of you may have tried to learn Python, but Lua is a very easy language to learn. And if you have any questions, pop them up in the live chat I'm running two screens, so I got the live stream on one screen and I've got you guys on the second screen, so I'm able to see all your comments and kind of answer to them. But remember, there's like a 15-second delay, so just keep that in mind. I'll get to it when I see it. But let's go ahead and get started. First, we're going to create a variable. Now, a variable in scripting is used to store information. For example, text, like hello world. You know, that would be an example of text. But let's just make a variable called x. We'll call it x, lowercase x, and then say x equals quotation marks hello world end quotation marks. So what we just did was we created a string variable. A string is just a combination of letters or numbers inside quotation marks. Strings pop up in purple text like we have here. Other types of variables include integers. So if I had another variable called y, I could set it to an integer, not in quotation marks. I would just type the number 1. That's an integer, or the number 9, or the number 123. So y is equal to an integer, or you could also do decimals as well. So I could say y equals 12.7. You can do that, but you could also say y equals quotation marks 12.7, but it's not going to treat it as an integer. It's going to treat it as text. It's going to treat it as a string. So I'm just going to keep that back at 12.7 as an integer. And the third most common variable type you're going to see is called a Boolean variable. That's spelled B-O-O-L-E-A-N, Boolean variable. That also means true false variables. So let's have another variable called z, and we'll set that equal to true. Again, not in quotation marks. Quotation marks are only used for strings. This is not a string. This is a Boolean variable. And to answer the question in the live chat, Godzuki asked, I guess that's how you say it, so when you put quotes, it's a string. Yes. When you put something between quotes, like hello world, that is a string. Just numbers by itself is an integer or a double meaning there's a decimal. And true and false is a Boolean. I'm actually going to take this and move it to this line. But let me go ahead and address something. So I have text in green. Green text is called a comment. Comments are not interpreted by the script. So if you want to add a comment, you just do dash dash and then type whatever you want. Like this is a Boolean variable. You can put anything there. You could even say A equals hello, and it wouldn't mean anything. It's not going to read it. It's just a comment. It's only there for someone reading the script. So the comments are not interpreted by the script. So I'm just going to keep that there. Okay, so that's our three types of variables there. Now, let's just do some simple math just to kind of get used to scripting a little bit. So I'm going to erase all of this, and this is going to be pretty easy. We're going to use something called the print function, P-R-I-N-T. Every time you print something, it appears in the output box. So I'm going to say print quotation marks hello world end quotation marks. And when I click the green play button, it's going to show up here in output. Now if your button isn't green, click that down arrow and click run, not play, because that'll spawn your character, but click run. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click run, and at the bottom it says hello world, because that's what we told it to do. And then once you're done, hit the red stop button. And I can change this to whatever I want. I can say hello world, how are you today? I don't know, just something goofy. And if I click play, it'll appear at the bottom. Hello world, how are you today? So the print function is a very powerful function. It can do a whole lot. It's good for debugging, it's good for testing things, confirming the value of a variable. You can do a lot with the print function. So let's do some math, like basic math. The print function will do math problems for you. So if you ever have trouble with homework and you don't have a calculator, yeah, open up Roblox Studio, and I know everyone's going to do that. No, you're not. So what you can do is you can say print 5 plus 4, just like that. No quotation marks, nothing. You just hit 5 plus 4. Obviously, we know that's equal to 9, but what you can do is you can click the green run button, and it's going to print 5 plus 4. There we go, it just printed the number 9. That's exactly what we told it to do, was print 5 plus 4. So let's go back to variables again. Any questions so far on the print? Just let me know. Let's have two variables. They're both going to be integers just to make it simple. So we're going to have x equals 3, or 2, I hit a 2, and hit enter, so we're on the next line, and then y equals 3. So let's add those two numbers together using the print function. Now this is all the basics of Lua. You have to know the basics before you can do anything else. So let's do print x plus y. Again, no quotation marks. So it's literally going to print the value of x plus the value of y. And we told it x is equal to 2 and then y is equal to 3, so it should print 5. So let's hit the play button and let's see what comes up. Well, obviously the answer is 5 because that's what we told it to do. That's what you can do with variables using the print function, is give them a value, add them together, and it'll spit out the answer. So let's do, instead of plus, you can also do multiplication. It would be the star. So x times y, well 2 times 3, that equals 6. So let's hit the play button just to make sure, because it's Roblox, you never know what's going to happen. Yeah, the answer is 6. So that's pretty simple stuff. Now let's have a third variable called z. Let's say z is equal to x plus y. You can do that. You can set a variable to equal the value of another variable plus another variable. In this instance, we said z is equal to the value of x plus the value of y. So let's print z. Well, we already know x is equal to 2, y is equal to 3, z is equal to x plus y, so we know it should be 5. But let's test it anyway. We're just going to print the value of z, and there we go. It prints out 5. It's going to print out 5 every single time. Unless we go here, I'm going to hit stop, unless we go here and change this to like 4 or something, then it would change. We can also say print z plus 1. Well, we know z, given this, is going to equal to 6. If we do print z plus 1, should equal to 7. Yeah, there we go. Equals 7 every single time. Just like the number of people watching this live stream right now, 7. Any questions so far? Yeah, it's basically basic algebra. And that's the way scripting really works. It's mainly math. If you're not good at math, then you're probably not going to be that great at scripting. You'll be able to learn most of it, but someone who is more logical minded is going to be a lot better than someone who is creative. Creative people are better at building, but logical people are better at scripting. So I think I'm going to stop it here for now. I think we went over the basic variables. I'm just going to do a little recap, and I guess tomorrow or another time we'll dive into it some more. But what we have is we have 3 main types of variables in basic scripting. We have string variables, which are stored in quotation marks. I'm going to say this is a string. variable. We have integer variables, or doubles, which is basically an integer with a decimal. It's called a double, which is basically just numbers. So let's say y equals 12. Or you could say, I'm going to put this in in comments, you just do double dash. Or you could say y equals 12.7, that would be a decimal. And the third type of basic variable is a Boolean variable, or a true-false variable. So I'm going to say z equals false. Alternatively, I could have said z equals true. We went over the print statement, so you could say print y, which would print 12, or you could say print x, which would print, this is a string variable, to the output menu. And you can also say print z. So if I hit play right now, in order, the output should say 12, this is a string, and false. Let's try that. Yeah, 12, this is a string variable, and then it printed false. And we can also use the print function to do math for us, such as print y plus 10. We know y is 12, so it's going to print 12 plus 10, which is, of course, 22. Let's try that. Yep, it hit 22. First it printed 12 because we told it to, then it said this is a string variable, false, and then it printed 22. And that's basically everything we went over today. If you have any questions, just let me know on the Discord or pop it here in the chat.